Welcome to another episode of That's What They Said, a podcast where we question the questionable lyrics of your favorite songs. Sarina Morales and Scott Spinelli, and we're talking about a song that really had English teachers mad and others confused. The song Ironic by Alanis Morissette.
We are going to be the first podcast, in fact, the first people ever to discuss whether or not the lyrics in this song are actually ironic. It's never been done before.
Very little time on the fact that everyone else talks.
No, that's wrong. Don't listen to your host, dear listeners. That is not true. We're the first people to ever discuss this in a recorded form.
Ever.
It's never been discussed.
Ironic by the Canadian singer. It's, Canadians, they've always got like a different sense to them, like it's like Bizarro World a little bit. Alanis Morissette. It was released in February 1996 as the third single from her third studio album, Jagged Little Pill.
Which was a banger.
Was a banger. Big hits for her there. And it was written by Morissette and Glenn Ballard. It was also produced by that man. And it reached number 4 on the Billboard charts, which, again, I would have thought the popularity of this song, especially how many people criticized it for the issues in the English language, I thought it would have been higher, but four's good.
4 is basically 1. I know that's not really how math works, but
no.
But not at all.
We're now breaking down math and English, and I'm going to criticize your math.
But what I mean by that is that, like, 4 at that point, we don't know who else was around, what other songs came out. Like, there could have been just a couple of it's like being like, I forget who it was. There's this story about this. This is a terrible story now, but there's this movie that came out like the same weekend as like Good Will Hunting. I think it might have been Dazed and Confused. Was that Dazed and Confused maybe that came out the same weekend as Good Will Hunting and Titanic? Yeah. And it was just like, there's just no way.
Not win all these awards, but it was because everything else was also. You're right.
I'm going to look that up while you set us up here.
Okay, great. It did sit on the billboards for 32 weeks, I think, at a top peak. So anyway, the song is anything but ironic.
Yes, it is.
We're not going to spend too much time on the situational irony that is the song, because it's not. But in case anyone is completely shocked by the fact that the song Ironic and all of the examples that Alanis Morissette uses, that it's not ironic at all. And I remember as a kid growing up, and my mom's an English teacher, and then at one point we had an aunt who lived with us who was also an English teacher, and it's surprising how bad my grammar is to this day. However, every time this song came on the radio, they were like, "This is not ironic at all. That's not ironic." That's my mom, who doesn't sound like that at all. But irony is a state of affairs or an event that seems deliberately contrary to what was or might be expected. The outcome is then, humorously or strangely at odds with the assumptions or expectations. So when we get into the lyrics, like, it's a free ride, you've already paid, a traffic jam when you're already late, like, those are not ironic at all. And even comedians have, joked about that. The only ironic thing about this song is that it's called Ironic, because it's written by a woman who doesn't know what irony is.
And she has acknowledged as much. I mean, even she has talked about it, right? Like, it's not just English teachers across the country. There have been the actual artist herself recognized it. And she has sort of worn it and then also said, like, I don't really get, like, I don't really care. I guess what's
number 4 on the Billboard charts. Who cares about if I knew or didn't know? I mean, you expect all writers to know grammar?
Yeah, well, so that's the other thing. She admits that she is a big grammar person. However, I mean, the thing that I think people come up with it, and they're always like, at least in the beginning of this, like, culture of, internet joking type stuff with this, like, this only could exist in the internet, obviously, right? So people talk about, like, we got her, as if she didn't know. You know what I mean?
I mean, also, isn't it ironic? Don't you think? I mean, like, it's sort of catchy. I mean, the only other words to this song is like, isn't it shitty?
Yeah. Well, James Corden and her.
They redid.
They redid the movie, if I'm not mistaken. The movie. They redid the song with lyrics about, like, also, but modern lyrics, but also non-ironic topics.
Yeah.
But at any rate, no, I can't find this. This whole story is just a terrible story on my part.
Right.
There was the basic story is there was a movie once that overshadowed another movie. That's that's a really good one, isn't it?
This isn't ironic at all.
Yeah, no, that's just horrible.
Horrible.
I have a fun nug. I got a fun nug.
Oh, lovely.
She did not like this song, and in fact, she didn't want to put it on the album.
What?
She didn't like this song that much because she didn't like that it wasn't autobiographical enough. Apparently, so her first album and perhaps her first two albums were like, she has like a Paula Abdul-ish sound almost, like very pop. And this album came out when she's either 18 or 19. The first two albums were like 14, 15, 16. And she was opening for Vanilla Ice. Like the music didn't really sound what it became. She got dropped from her record label because she was like, you know what, I'm going to go do my own thing. In a way, it's not exactly the same, I guess, but it's kind of like Taylor Swift going from
country to pop.
Country to pop. She went from pop to sort of not country, but like, but either way though, making sort of Taylor Swift doing her own, just changing lanes and making her own thing. This was kind of that.
She opened for Vanilla Ice. Imagine the irony.
Imagine being at that show. Yeah. And so she didn't like this song because this was one of the songs on the album that she didn't really fully do herself. She did it with that guy Glenn Ballard. And she was like, I don't really want to. She loved the chorus, as she says, but everyone in the room or around her was just like, no, this song is incredible. Like, you got to put it on. It's catchy as hell. Yeah. And she was like, I mean, we've talked about this how many times where artists don't really seem to know, like, how many times has a song been their best single that wasn't the number one single on the album for some reason, right? Like,
right.
And so this is one of her biggest songs ever, and she didn't even want to initially put it on. So,
which is funny because I think Alanis Morissette is like the epitome of 90s rock, like women. Her voice is somewhat confusing to hear at times, you know.
It's so funny you say that. Because when I was watching the music video this afternoon, I was thinking to myself, like, there were two things that I forgot about her because I don't really listen to her music that often, right? I mean, I know the big singles and I enjoy them like other people do too, but like, I forgot how striking her look is. She has a very specific look.
Almost Liv Tyler.
Yes, good call.
Similar looking,
and then also, to your point, how striking her voice is. Her voice is one of a kind, and it's like, it's like how in baseball, like Jeff Bagwell as an example had a really weird stance. You would never teach someone to stand like that, and then he's a Hall of Famer, right? Like, exactly. So like, I don't think a vocal coach would teach you to sing like her necessarily, or to, sort of play around with, intonation and such, but it works for her. I mean, she's great.
Worked for her. Do you want to touch on the music video first, or the lyrics, or anything?
Well, I don't really have it. I don't know. I'll real quick on the music video, for me at least. I kind of feel like it could have been better. Is that too harsh? Like,
I thought that this was a unique, because again, you go back to the 90s. Well, oh, cool. She's basically driving in a car, and there's different versions of her in the back seat, in the passenger seat. And so it's like, oh my God, how did they get her all in the same car at the same time? So to me,
cool
I thought,
then,
right, like maybe now you're like, seriously, you couldn't like duplicate her like we do now? No.
I know this isn't exactly, I mean, hold on, let's back up a step. This song is a nonsense song. Even she kind of admits it, that like, she knows that most of this stuff isn't ironic. And then it's almost like LFO Summer Girls or Summertime, whatever, right? In the sense that like the lyrics are sort of ridiculous. So intentionally so. So that said, it still would have been a little funnier if, like, I don't know, if she's like walking somewhere and like there's an old man with a fly in the drink or whatever, you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. Like the lyrics are weird.
It played nothing to it's just her driving. Also in snow, like that's a choice, right? Like, oh, we can't drive to LA. We can't film where it's warm. Let's just do it in upstate New York. You know? Like,
it was really bizarre. Yeah. And she just at certain points looks like not like an insane asylum person, the way she's like,
her neck is like really rotating.
Like I'm expecting like what's that movie with the ring where like the girl pops out through the TV. Yeah, that's kind of what I was expecting her to do.
Alanis Morissette had some Ring-esque moments, and then at the end she runs out of gas. And then that's the end of the music video. It's like
much like the song, she ran out of gas. Yeah.
Yes. All right, let's get to the lyrics here then.
Oh, you want me to go first?
I mean, I was gentleman first.
Okay, so The main one for me is this entire second verse. Okay. Let me call it up here. Okay. So the entire second verse is Mr. Play It Safe was afraid to fly. Yeah. He packed his suitcase and kissed his kids goodbye. He waited his whole damn life to take that flight. And as the plane crashed down, he thought, well, isn't this nice?
No. You are definitely not saying, oh, well, isn't this nice when your plane is crashing?
So two things. First is that actually might be irony that he says, well, isn't this nice? It's the first time I'm flying.
Yes.
And I'm dying. Right? But that, to me, I don't have any issues with the irony or not of this. It's more, what the is going on? Why are you writing about this guy dying? Like, it's so weird.
Yeah. Oh, Mr. Play It Safe also?
Well, yeah. What do you mean play? What, did he grow up taking steamboats across the Atlantic? What do you mean, Mr. Play It Safe?
Yeah.
Flights are safe.
I look both ways before I cross the street. Ooh, look at Mr. Play It Safe here.
This loser doesn't want to fly.
What? Like, I don't go outside when it rains. I might be struck by lightning. Like, the odds are insane for it. Lightning, plane crashes, shark attacks. What? So Play It Safe never went swimming?
When did this song come out again?
Mr. Play It Boring, you know?
Mr. Play It Boring. When did this song come out again?
1996. 1996.
Was air travel very risky back then? I love it. Mr. Play It Safe. You know, this guy never flew.
Also funny, just like way to like look at Mr. Play It Safe over here, you know? Like,
well, that's what I'm saying. It's just so weird that like she's basically like this nerd over here wants to take a flight.
Yeah.
Like I didn't really. And again, like all the other lyrics in this song, and I'm happy to hear. I want to hear which ones you want to go through, but like all the other lyrics in this song are very like silly.
Yeah.
This one is about a man dying in a fiery plane crash.
Yeah. Yeah, and also no one was there to hear him say, "Well, isn't this nice?" Like they're all dead, you know. Like
it's just I didn't care for that. Yeah.
Sure.
Didn't love that.
I actually the first lyric, an old man turned 98. He won the lottery and died the next day. I'll stop there just to say, why is an old man 98 years old playing the lottery? Like
that's a fantastic point.
You might die.
Yes.
You know what? I just got this itch. I still like gambling. You know, I don't know. He died. Yeah, you're 98 years old. Of course you might die the next day. Give it to your grandchildren.
Perhaps that's why he did it. Perhaps that's why he did it.
Yeah, right. Like, oh, that's not. And then it's a black fly in your Chardonnay. And then it goes to, it's a death row pardon 2 minutes too late. So one of those things doesn't belong because the man playing the lottery dies. Then the death row dude, he also dies. The black fly in my wine,
you know what? Now
put all these things together.
Upon further review, perhaps I was wrong about saying a lot of the lyrics are silly in here. In the first two verses, 3 of the 4 people involved, or three of the 4 ironies are death. A 98-year-old man.
The black fly is like a black widow, and we don't know.
Yeah. Everyone knows that black flies, like Pokemon, they transform into the next thing once dipped in Chardonnay, and that's a black widow. That's common knowledge.
Yeah. So that.
That's a good point. That was real dark, like weirdly dark.
Really dark. You're talking about you talk about 3 people dying, and a fly in your wine. Protein.
Yeah. Which one of these does not belong?
That is so weird.
The 98-year-old man thing also, just as a side note on that, like, it's just to your, like, I think it was Nick Swartzen who did a bit about this. He's like, when I'm 90, I'm going to be doing 90. Like the like the last thing he should be worrying about is the lottery.
Lottery, like you're playing bingo. You're not playing the lottery.
Exactly.
And to that point where she says, well, life has a funny way of sneaking up on you. Well, it's not funny at all. Like when you think everything's okay and everything's going right, life has a funny way of helping you out when you think everything's gone wrong and everything blows up in your face. First of all, I'm going to play this here because I don't understand anything. I just read the lyrics, but you can't understand anything she says. I have no idea what she said. I was like, I was like, you know what's funny? How you're singing this right now. Does anyone know the lyrics to that part of the song? I don't think so.
I had to, as you were playing it, listen to, or rather, keep the lyric sheet up, because I think most of us just interpret that. That's what we all heard.
All I know is, life is a funny way. I don't get it. I have no idea what she was ever singing until right now. And all that to say that it's honestly kind of mean, like she's like, isn't it funny? Life has a funny way. You're talking about 3 people dying and a friggin' fly in your wine. Like, that's not funny. Like, life is helping you out. Like, this isn't help. Is that like keeping modesty? Like, what?
No, another question. The lyric, it's like rain on your wedding day.
Yeah.
Isn't that good luck? I've heard that that's good luck.
Yeah, it's not ironic.
No, yeah, but forget about like she's making it seem like it's a bad thing, and I've heard from maybe that's just like what people say to make
to make them feel better. No one wants rain on their wedding day.
Hold on, the concept of, I'm not suggesting that this is a real thing, that it's good luck.
I'm
saying that's a thing that people say, though, right? That like rain on your wedding day is good luck.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine at weddings if people go rain on your wedding day? That's ironic. Everyone knows that. It's like
someone has, because of this.
Oh, there's no way no one's used that joke. Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, no, I don't think this is like she ends this part saying like life has a funny way of helping you out. You're dead. You're dead. 3 people are dead.
Yeah, I mean, I guess as a final thought for me. But no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, is that like saying like stay modest, guys? Like you never know when you might croak. Like
don't take flights. Don't play the lottery. Don't drink Chardonnay. I mean,
I'm more of a Sauv Blanc gal myself. So.
Savvy B. Related to Cardi B, of course.
Love her too.
Yeah, I don't. I guess for me the thing is this: like I don't. I didn't realize upon now a closer listen now that we're talking about it, just how negative the various elements of the song are. Mm-hmm. Not negative like depressing negative, but just that. I thought it was just much more of a whimsical, silly thing. And there are a couple of whimsical things, but as you pointed out, there's not like a whole verse is obviously negative. The first verse, 2 out of 3 are negative. At the end, it's negative. There's a lot of like these things like come out bad.
That's what this song should be called. Isn't it ironic? Isn't it suck for you?
Doesn't everything suck?
Just suck. Yeah. the free ride after you already paid. I need a knife. Well, here's 1,000 spoons. There's so many moments where she
doesn't mention anything. She doesn't mention anything ironic that like happens out good for her. She doesn't do that.
No, it's all bad. Like
yeah,
it's really just like there's a dark cloud over you, Linus, and you need to figure out like how to get a voodoo doll or something and burst the spell. To me,
I think
like this is bad luck.
Yeah, exactly. That's what the song should be called. This is bad luck.
Isn't it bad luck? This doesn't go,
And that doesn't work. I mean, I personally am more of a You Oughta Know fan, but I do like both of these.
This was the most successful song. But I wonder if also because people listen to it to learn about the word ironic.
I think ironic also, if you don't listen to the actual lyrics, it's kind of more upbeat and fun. You Oughta Know has a little bit more angst and like anger in it.
That's a breakup song. That is like oof,
Dave Coulier, right? Isn't that the rumor that's about?
Yeah, like
the guy from Full House.
Was angry.
Oh, is that right? Is that what you've heard as well?
Yeah, actually, that rings a bell.
Don't quote us on that.
He had a tough reputation for a little while, so. Maybe
I mean, in fairness, if I was him, I would have been thrilled that she said anything about it because it's not like his career has prolonged. And if Alanis Morissette pretty much wanted to do anything right now, I bet you she still could. I mean, I would imagine she's had an album out in the last 3 or 4 years. Like, she's probably still a very viable artist, and I don't think anyone's banging down the door to get Dave Coulier tickets.
No, it is funny though. I would never put those two together. Would you? Seem like
No, that's irony. A pop star and a goofy comic going out with each other. Not what you would the opposite of what you would expect.
Like,
I think I'm using irony right there, aren't I?
Who knows? But no one knows what really irony is anymore because she screwed it all up.
Yeah.
I'd take her more for like dating like a Dave Grohl kind of guy, like more in that vein.
Or perhaps that's just too close for comfort. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you date someone outside of your sphere.
Cisco then, or like go
Cisco.
I don't know.
The two of them walking down the carpet together. Cisco and Alanis Morissette.
Hey, I mean.
She takes his last name, or rather, he takes her last name. He's Cisco Morissette.
Well, you got anything else? Final thoughts on?
No. That's it.
That's it. I hope everyone doesn't have any irony or bad luck. If you do find some substance or a weird mosquito in your wine, don't drink it. Pour it out. That's what I've learned from this song, because you might be dead.
And also, don't fly.
And don't fly. Don't fly.
Yeah.
Don't play lottery when you're 98. Don't do that either. And if you need a knife, just start crying. You need a spoon. Figure it out. That's another episode of That's What They Said in the Books. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on iTunes. We're all over the place. We also have a very cool eclectic playlist. That's songs that we've covered so far on this podcast. So check it all out and find us and rate us on all those things and give us 5 stars so that it's ironic.